Welcome to lesson 14, advanced chords. When you watch how advanced players play the same simple songs that you know how to play, you might begin to wonder why they sound so good, even when they play the same chord progressions as you. The beauty of playing musical instruments is centered upon how well you're able to manage the simple concepts that you know and produce something extraordinary out of them. In this lesson, we will be looking at some advanced chords that we can use in place of the basic chords that we have been using since we learned how to play chords. Triads are not the only chord forms available. We can build chords using more than 3 notes on the scale degrees. These chords will have a richer tonal value than the basic triad chords that we know. Now we'll start with the 7 chords. The 7th chords. There are 8 different 7th chords that we can build on any key. It involves adding the 7th degree notes modified in different forms depending on the name given to it. Now we'll start with the major 7th chord. The major 7th chord. It involves adding the 7th degree note of the major scale of a key to the major triad of that key. So this is a major triad of C. We are building the 7th chords on C. So if this is a major triad on C, the major 7th chord is adding the 7th degree notes, which is B. So instead of the C, E, G, I'm adding a B to it to get a C major 7th. So this is a C major 7th. Now the second 7th chord is the dominant 7th chord. The dominant 7th is built by adding the flattened 7th degree notes to the major triad. Major triad, flattened 7th. Instead of the 7th degree, you flatten the 7. So you have B flat as the 7th, as the dominant 7th. This is a C7. It's written as C7 or C dominant 7, a flattened 7. Now the next 7th chord is the minor 7th chord. The minor 7th is built by adding the flattened 7th degree note to the minor triad of the key. Minor triad on C. This is a minor triad. Then you add a minor 7th, which is a diminished 7th, a flattened 7th. So this is C minor 7. The next 7th chord is the half diminished 7th chord. The half diminished 7th chord is a minor triad with a diminished triad is a minor triad with a flattened 5th. We've talked about this before. So this is a minor triad, the flattened 5th. So this is C diminished. C diminished. Now a half diminished chord is built by adding the flattened 7th note to the diminished triad, the flattened 7th. So we have C, E flat, F sharp, and B flat as the C minor 7th flat 5 or C half diminished 7th chord. The next 7th chord is the diminished 7th chord. The 7th note is doubly flattened and added to the diminished triad. Double flat means that you should take a whole step backward. One flat, double flat. So the 7th note is doubly flattened. We have from B, you move a whole step to A. So you add the A to the diminished triad. So this is the diminished 7th chord, C diminished 7. Now the next 7th chord is the augmented major 7th chord. Now an augmented triad is a major triad with a sharpened 5th. A major triad, this is a major triad and a sharpened 5th. The the fifth is sharpened, is raised by a half step. This is an augmented C augmented triad on C. Now, an augmented major seventh is built by adding the seventh note to the augmented triad. Major seventh. Whenever the major seventh name is given to it, you play the seventh degree note without flattening it. So you have this as the augmented major seventh chord, or C augmented major seventh. The next is the augmented seventh chord. Now it is not a major seventh, so the flattened seventh note is added to the augmented triad to form the augmented major seventh. Flattened seventh. So we have C, E, A flat, B flat as the C augmented major seventh, augmented seventh chord. The last seventh chord that we'll be looking at is the minor major seventh chord. The seventh note is added to the minor triad to form this chord. The minor triad, you add the seventh to it, so you have C, E flat, G, and B as the C minor major seventh. Now you can build seventh chord on all the keys also. For example, I can build a seventh chord on a D minor, so I have this as D minor major 7 because I'm playing, okay, D7 actually, D minor 7. This is a flattened 7, so it's called D minor 7. You can build 7 chords on all the keys. Now the next advanced chords that we'll be looking at is the 2 chords. A 2 chord adds the second degree note of a major scale to the major triad. For example, this is a major triad on C. So it adds the second degree note to the major triad. So you have this. This is a C add 2. Note you can substitute your major triads with 2 chords and it will always sound great. I can substitute the C major with C add 2, the F major with F add 2, and it will sound good and nice. So now the next advanced chord are the suspended chords. A suspended chord is a chord that suspends the third. It suspends the third in the major or minor triad. This implies that you should play another note instead of the third, thereby suspending the third in the process. There are 2 common suspended chords. We have suspended 2 and suspended 4, written as sus2 and sus4 respectively. Now sus2, it means that you should play the second note, second degree note, instead of the third in a triad. So this is C sus2, F sus2, and G sus2. Adding the second, playing the second degree note instead of the third. Now C sus4, play the fourth instead of the third. So we have these as the sus4. Now the interesting thing about sus2 and sus4 is that it's like they are inverted. This C sus4 is the inversion of F sus2. So it makes it the same chord. They are the same. So it depends on which one you want to place emphasis on. The last but not the least advanced chords that we'll be looking at in this lesson is the power chord. The power chords are chords built on just 2 notes, the root and the fifth. Using C as an example, this is a power chord on C. You play C and G as the power chord on C, and it is written as C5. This is a power chord on F, power chord on G. These chords can also be played in their different inversions. While I look forward to seeing you in the next lesson, learn all the chord inversions and find the notes, find the ones that are more comfortable for you to play on. See you next time.